Hi, welcome back to Sherry's Crocheted Happiness. I am not working on my weather blanket today. Instead, I was going to show you a flower that I make. I don't have a written pattern for this, and I'm sure that I got this pattern off of the internet at some point a long time ago, and I've made this flower so many times now that I don't even need the pattern. And I just kind of do it as I go along. I've modified it to make it either bigger or smaller depending on the project that I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 20, and I'm using a size G hook. And I was talking about these on my the other day, these hooks. And somebody let me know that the reason that they were on clearance at Hobby Lobby is because they have discontinued this style. But when I was at Hobby Lobby the other day, they do still sell this brand. It's just a different styled handle. It's not bumpy like this, but it is still fat and probably still more ergonomic than a skinny handle. So maybe give those ones a try. So I'm going to crochet 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, so I have my turning. So there's my 21. And then what I do is I go to the second chain. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm going to yarn over and go through the second one, and I'm going to do a double crochet. Okay, chain into the next one, do another double crochet. And I'm just going to do this all the way down the row. So double crochet, chain, double crochet. And so a double crochet is yarn over. I'm going through the loop in my chain, yarn over. Let's do that better. So it's through, yarn over, pull it up. So I have 3 on there. Yarn over through the first 2, yarn over and through both. Okay, and then chain is just yarn over and pull through. Okay, yarn over, go through my chain. So now I have 3 on there. Okay, yarn over through the first 2, yarn over through the 2. Chain. Yarn over, through, yarn over, yarn over. So this is a pretty basic flower pattern. Flower pattern, yeah, that's so in my brain I thought I said flower power for a second there, but flower pattern. And so just crochet on down the road here until you get all the way down. Just keep going. The single, double, single, double, double. Hopefully you guys are able to see this well enough. I'm having a hard time watching myself in the video and making sure that I'm getting it where it needs to go. So we're down to the last 3 here. Okay, so this is the last one. Excuse me. So I'm not going to chain. I'm stopped right here. I'm not going any more that direction, but I am going to chain 1 and turn my whole piece around. So you can see I have what amounts to a little, almost looks like a little ladder. Okay, and it is kind of, it's kind of almost U-shaped. because I'm putting a bigger stitch in my chain, so the tension is going to be a little bit pulled there, but it'll work out okay. You'll see once we get the rest of the flower done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet, and then I'm going to chain, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to chain, and then I'm going to single one more. That was all in that first hole, okay, where we made the chain between the double crochets. So now that's all in there. So now we'll go to the next hole, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do a single crochet, chain, and then 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, chain, and single. Okay, so see how that all went into, they're all going into the holes, and this is forming my petals for my flower. So if you wanted your petal to be a little fuller, you could probably even go as far as 5 5 double crochets into that area, but still make sure that you have the chain and the single crochet are what gives it the rounded shape. So you could do however many you wanted in there to make your petals as full or as thin as you wanted. Sometimes when I play yarn roulette and I don't have quite enough, I will even go down to 2 double crochets in that space to try to eke out the rest of that little bit of yarn. The petal isn't as full, but no one ever is going to notice, and you probably won't even remember later on with the project if you go back and look at it, except for, I don't know, maybe, you know, thinking that, oh yeah, that was the one that I didn't do the full pattern on. So I'm going to keep doing that all the way down. So single, chain, double, 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 chain, single. So all the way down the whole way here. So I don't know, in our town here it is graduation weekend, and we have quite a few schools that have graduations on Friday and Saturday, and so today and yesterday I spent some time going around helping or celebrating our graduates. I had 3 graduation parties today and 1 yesterday, and it's pretty fun to go, and it's fun to be invited for one to graduation parties for young people that you had when they were in 2nd or 3rd or 4th grade in your Cub Scout pack, and you were their Cub Scout leader, and they thought enough to invite you to their graduation party, or youth from your youth group and they invite you. I mean, I'm sure that it's mostly the parents that are inviting you, but it's nice to still be included in those activities, and I feel glad to know that I made enough of an impression on their life or their child that they wanted to include me in their celebration. So if any of you are watching this tonight, so thank you very much for remembering me, and I'm so proud of your youth or your scout for graduating. It's you know, it's a huge accomplishment in their young lives, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. All right. And it's hard to believe that we're already in June and it's graduation time. I feel like school just barely started, but here we are, mid-June already. Not quite mid-June, but getting pretty close. Time sure does go fast. All right. So we're making some progress here, getting down this little ladder here. And I have done, when I've done like Seahawk flowers, I have done I'm going to call it a ladder. Someone's going to let me know that there's a different term for this, but the little ladder, my base stitches, I have done those in like the Seahawk green color, and then I've gone back and I've done my flower in the blue color. And then you can even go back and do in the top of your chain here. I don't know if you can see that there. And then just do a little chain of like a white color or whatever color you want to do. And then it gives it just another three-dimensional aspect to the flower. So honestly, you know, it's the sky's the limit on how much detail you can put into these flowers and the color combination, or how big you want to make it. If you want to make your flower like super full, then chain more than 20. Keep the same process of doing the petals, but chain, so we did 20, so try 25 or 30 and just see how big your flower is and how full it is. I use these mostly on beanies and headbands, and so if I have too big of a flower, it's too heavy and the beanie or the headband wants to fall down. So that's why I said I modified this a little bit. I modified it to fit what my need. And so if you were using it on something else and you really wanted a big flower, then just chain more, but just keep the same process. If you are doing a baby one, then I would cut it in half or maybe go to 15. And I have done that before too, or use a lighter yarn so that it's not so heavy when you are when it's on the baby's head. So again, so it's not pulling down the headband or the beanie or being so heavy that it's awkward filling. So I say that I use these on headbands and beanies, and so what I do is I sew a button to whatever the headband or the beanie, and I leave a space big enough, and we'll get to that part in just a second, but I'll leave a space in there, and it will so that the flower can be buttoned on to the headband or the beanie, and that way if you need to wash the headband or the beanie or whatever you decide to use this flower on, the flower can come off. The button will stay on whatever it is that you've put it on, but the flower can stay off and you can wash the rest of it without the flower becoming disformed. Early on I sewed my flowers onto my projects, and then I started noticing that the flowers were kind of disformed after they'd been in the wash once or twice. And so I decided, let's figure out how we can do this so that people have the ability to take their flowers off. And so I came up with the idea of buttoning it on there, and it's been very good, because sometimes maybe you might want to wear your headband or your beanie with a flower, maybe you won't want to wear it with the flower. So it's nice to have those options. Excuse me. Get a little drink here. All right, we're almost down to the end here. And I'm still learning with these videos. I guess maybe I should have had a sample at the very start so you would see what kind of flower we're actually making. Instead of having to wait till the end product to see what it looks like. Alright, so we have a couple more spots here to work through. Okay. Hopefully that's not blurry either, so you can see. So this last one is where we did our turn, and I just kind of wiggle it through there and fill in that space because I want my flower to be as full and have as many petals as it can. Okay, so there's my final one. So I'm going to cut myself a pretty long tail and pull my yarn through. Alright, so then the next thing is seeing if my needle is right here handy. There it is. Alright. So I use one of these big tapestry needles. You can use whatever works best for you. Okay, so this is probably going to be a little backwards to where you're at, but I am going to go through the bottom stitch of my where I just pulled my yarn through. And I'm going to tuck this around to kind of make a circle. And then I'm going to pull it through the bottom of the chain. Let's see, can you see that? The bottom of my chain right here. So the bottom part of where we put in our double crochet, I'm going to pull that through. And this is where this is where the button is going to go, right here. You know, I try to pick out what size button you're going to use, or have an idea of what size button you have, so that you know how big to make your hole. If you have a really tiny button, you want to make obviously a really tiny hole. If you're going to have a really big button, make your hole bigger. Okay, the yarn is pretty forgiving, so you can usually stretch it over a button, but just to make it easier on you, and if you're giving this to someone, make it easier on them. Okay, so this is where we pulled the yarn through, and this is where we're just going to sew our flower together. So there's really no perfect place to put the yarn to put your needle through. So just keep moving your flower around into a circle and just picking it through the bottom layer, going through the top layer that you've laid over. Okay, and then just keep rotating it into the circle. So I'm going through my bottom layer, whatever the last row was, and through the part that you've laid down. Okay, and then I just keep going. So bottom layer, bottom layer, and then top layer. So this is this was where I just was. This is where I'm working now. Hey, my yarn matches my nails pretty good there. Okay, again, so bottom layer and through my top layer. And I'm going to go a couple more stitches. Okay, so now I'm to the end, and I have my little tail from where I started. So I'm just going to tie the tail off. So I'm going to use the string that I sewed it together with. So that's where I sewed. And this is the tail that was from my starting chain, and I've just tied those together in a square knot, or in a knot. Okay? And then I trim off the excess. And there you have a flower. So if you wanted your flower, if you made it longer and you continued that around, you could see how big this flower could actually be. But you can see, I'm sure, why I use the size I use. And I have all these hats sitting here, and I don't have one single one that has a flower on it. There we go. Okay, so here's one of my hats. Here's that flower on here, like the flower that we just made today. And you can see the button in the middle. So my flower just buttons off. And there is the button right there on the flower. The button right there on the beanie. So if you didn't want to wear it with the flower, or you needed to wash it, you can take it off. And then it's just as easy as buttoning it right back on. And I'll use this turquoise one that we just made to button on. So see how cute that is? Super cute, super handy, super easy to do. And it's a really easy pattern to follow. And I hope that I was able to give you enough instructions. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Don't forget to join my not my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. I gotta get the right terms here. You can go and like my Facebook page if you want. It's Sherry's Crochet. And check back. I'm going to keep doing some more videos and get the hang of how this works exactly, and continue following my progress on my temperature blanket. So check back in and see where we're at. Thanks for watching, and keep crocheting. See you next time.